Welcome to Lily Tang Williams' weekly show, Immigrants Speak. Today we have Amani, my co-host. Hi, Amani.
Hi, Lily.
We have the famous freedom fighter, Xi Van Fleet. Hi, Sister Xi.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for coming back. And today we're going to talk about school libraries and public libraries. And I'm going to let Xi Van Fleet introduce herself. And she actually has a degree in library science. So go ahead, Xi, tell us about yourself, your background.
Yeah, hi, everyone. I got involved and start with going to the school board and exposing the CRT and compare it with Cultural Revolution. But I now have a new passion on something very much related to the school indoctrination, the government school indoctrination of our kids. That's our school library and the public library. I am a professional librarian. I got a degree in library science and from Catholic University in Washington, D.C. And I worked as a special librarian. What that means is that I worked in corporations. I worked in news media and then trade association as a librarian managing the data. So I never worked in the school library and the public library, but because this is my profession, I am aware and I know a lot about library. So that's why I feel like with my background, and it's a very good thing for me to get involved, exposing what's going on in school library and public library.
So I got a chance to see you tweet about this American Library Association. Seems like they have gone totally woke and Marxist. And that's how I brought this issue to you. It's like, oh, how much do you know about them and know about what's going on in school libraries today? And in your eyes, what do you see the urgent need for the parents, for the taxpayer to be aware? What is going on in our school libraries today?
Yeah, I have just to say, in general, we should understand now in America, most of our institutions has been taken by the progressive left. And through this strategy called Long March Through the Institutions. And they have started as far back as 1930s with the goal to take over our institution. And so school is one of them. And that also include library. Library as a public institution is now under the control of Marxists. And every profession and the trade usually have association, right? So we have American Library Association, and it has gone full woke. Last year, they have elected a president, and her name is Emily Drabinski. I don't know whether I said it right. She is an openly declared Marxist. And this is his tweet after her election win. I just cannot believe that a Marxist lesbian who believes that the collective power is possible to build and can be wielded for a better world is the president-elect of the American Library Association. That's where we are today. This is not just some people we think are Marxists. This organization right now is under the control of openly declared Marxist.
People taxpayers got to be aware of that.
Yeah. That is extremely concerning. Thank you for sharing that information.
Yeah, this is very, very, very important for people to know. And because the public school, they still deny, right? They still deny. We don't teach CRT, we don't do that. Here is just absolutely in the open. And people should understand that in school, when they do indoctrination, apart from teachers, what else do they have to have? They have to have books. Textbooks is one thing. Textbook actually is not under the management of a library, but library is there to support the teaching, right? They provide books. And so in school, the library of school library and also the teachers have small collection in the classroom. They have direct access to the students. They can suggest what the students should read. I have a friend in Fairfax. She's a parent of 6 children. Last year, she made in national news by going to the Fairfax school board meeting and exposed to them the kind of book that her son got from his classroom, and it's pornography. absolute pornography. She showed the book illustration, and she was asked not to do that because it's not appropriate in a meeting because the children in the school board meeting. And that has also set alarm to parents. A lot of parents now has complained and about the pornography books in school library.
Do you
It
have
is
some
horrible.
books you said you want to show to us?
Yes, absolutely. I don't have access to school library, but I did go to my local library, and I can see that the collection of the public funded library collection is full of workbooks. And I have some books to show, and those are board books. Board books meaning for children who are very, very small, and those books are not even in the catalog. They're not in the catalog, and so you have to go there and see it. Okay, for a baby who can hardly talk, they already pushing this ideology. Feminists, do you think a 2-year-old can say the word feminist? No. Okay, but they're there, and this is Abraham Kendi's book. We know him, right? He wrote the book How to Be an Anti-Racist. He has a whole franchise going. He has books for baby, for young adult, for a juvenile, and then and for adults. A whole franchise that brought him millions of dollars of capitalist dollars. And this book I need to explain a little bit. So this is a book series called I Look Up To. And it's a board book, really for babies. And so here is Ginsburg. Who are the others? And I did not find in my library, but I went to Amazon. Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, and there's no other people. So they only look up to who we consider the darling of the left. And so they're pushing it to the library. And so these are the baby books that you can't find in the catalog. Okay, and also I found many young children's books. And one of the major things they are pushing now is transgender. Okay, so here is a book, and it's about I'm Jazz, and it's a boy who wants to be a girl. And here is Jacob's New Dresses, and from the title we can see easily what it's about. Here is My Princess Boy, and here is a Sparkling Boy, transgender, and there's a lot, and also CRT, absolutely CRT, How to Be an Anti-Racist Kid. Talk about race. All this is for young children, and how can you talk about racism without talking about intersectionality? And they made it into school library, and then this is like an audio. So who bought these books without tax dollars? The librarians. They decide what books to buy. Okay, and who are those librarians? Not everyone, but a lot of them. At least they are under the control of Marxists.
Wow,
That's the situation.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you have a book too, Amani, because you were tutoring in an elementary school for K to 3rd grade.
Yeah, it's not. It's like a printout book in my reading material that was passed down to me by the former tutor, Barack Obama. It's for kindergarten level. Very simple book, but basically telling the kids what a wonderful man he is, and that's it. No other politicians, no founding fathers, nothing about our nation's history. But this is the kind of thing that's very concerning to me, because that's the kind of stuff that I grew up with. I grew up with little pamphlets like these telling us about our leaders, Chairman Mao, Zhou Enlai, General Zhu De, and all of those. And all you have to do is show them a tiny little book like this, and they worship all these political leaders for life. Like I worshipped Chairman Mao until I grew up.
Yeah, it's all God, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's so one-sided. How about the Claire Thomas and Dr. Carson, and how about the Dr. King? How about those?
They're canceled. They're absolutely canceled. So here I want to go on and change the topic a little bit. Okay, so we can see there is a lot of books like this from the left that found their way with the help of Marxist librarians into our collection and made it available for kids, right? And also, the publishers are on board. The publishers censor themselves The latest news, have you heard about? The latest news is about the publishers went back into one of the most popular children's book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and went in and changed the words, offensive words, such as fat. No, that's offensive, taken out. Okay, ugly is taken out, and black and white, the words are taken out. And so those are offensive. So that's also the publishers are doing the same thing. Okay, so book banning has been ongoing for a long time. In the past, the book banning were mostly come from the left. They want to ban books such as Killing the Mockingbird because it has a racial slur in it. They want to ban Tom Sawyer for the same reason. Huckleberry Finn, that Tom Sawyer was my favorite book when I was in college learning English. Have to be banned because it has a N-word in it. Okay, they have been the driving force of book banning. Okay, and just a few years ago we heard they banned or at least canceled Dr. Seuss. We all know with children growing up, we all use the Dr. Seuss book. Okay, yeah. So today, the book banning push is from the right. Why? They are banned. They want to stop the books that mostly, even the Library Association said, that mostly those people from the right and parents in particular asked to ban books about gender and transgender and gender query books, porn books, books about sexuality, and books about intersectionality. The books that I just showed you, but they are children's, but in school they have pornography books. And so that's what they are banning. No, the Library Association, the American Library Association, now had last year, they had an initiative. Then the initiative is called Unite Against Book Banning. So the Unite Against Book Ban, and you can find it in the American Library Association homepage. They want to defend the freedom, what they say, they want to defend the freedom of reading, and any book should be made available. And do you remember just not long ago, Dr. Joe Biden in an interview said, we want all books, all of them. Does it sound familiar? We want to count every ballot, all of them, no matter they're legal or not. We want all people, no matter what, come to this country, open border.
How about age appropriate? Because,
I know. So that is their narrative, and that's their weapon. Same thing. Now they are defenders of freedom. No.
All of a sudden.
Yeah. Sounds like, right?
Yeah, freedom for them, not for the other side. Only freedom to publish whatever they want to publish, and only freedom to have the children read what they want them to read, but not for the other side, because they have the weapon of cancellation. They don't ban the books, they just cancel them. So it's like all the trick. It's all just a game.
I did a little research. Actually, there is a case of a Supreme Court about school library, and it was in 1982. And the ruling said public schools can bar books that are pervasively vulgar or not right for the curriculum. So today, basically, that is like a common sense, right? It's common sense that we have to protect the children. We can't just have anything to make available for them. It has to be good for them. So even the Supreme Court in 1982 said so. Now it's all common sense. It's out of the way. We can have graphic pornography books now in the library, like a more long boys.
Gender queer. I remember seeing that graphic comic. It was. I remember seeing that video of my mother. Yeah, it is shocking. It is, and not only that, but it depicts sexual actions between an adult and a 14-year-old boy.
I know,
it is pedophilia. It is pedophilia. It should be criminal. And I have no idea.
That's what they left to do. They are defending freedom, and they're against censorship.
They're very good at controlling their words, their language, their messages. And it just, I'm very active on Twitter. I see people constantly attacking another side, like, oh, now Republicans, especially MAGA Republicans, are divisive, banning like Florida governors and banning books and this or that. It's like, oh, when did they become freedom defenders, defend even free speech? Who censored people on Twitter, on Facebook, under government pressure? Oh, it's like, so from your two experience, do you think most of the parents even know what's going on, or they just kind of head in the sand and don't feel the urgency and don't know the truth because it's all kind of hidden, right?
Yeah.
Or the media don't report something like that.
No, they don't. That's why I feel passionate about this issue, because this should be tied together with the fight for school, fight for our school. They should be, because this is absolutely part of it. And so a lot of parents, like when I went to the library to check out those books, and I asked the librarian, the children's librarian, she was very helpful. And she told me that the book acquisition was done by a group of librarians, and they decide. But parents or just citizens, residents of the place, you can go and fill out a form to either request that you want certain book to be included, or you are against certain book. So there is a process. Even though they are in control, there is still a process that we can participate. And so that parents or any residents or citizens should be aware and get involved and take action. Yeah, this is our money, our money.
So where are the counter-strike books? You say that those pornography, transgender, left books are in libraries and wrote, published, printed by the people on the left. But what's happening with the people like us from the right, from conservative side? Where are our children's books?
That's what we just talked about before the show, that you can't wait for someone else to do it. Maybe we can do it. You know, we have their Amani is an artist, and we have ideas. We can get together, create our counter woke books. For example, I went to the library and I checked out a series of books of biography for young and probably for 12 and up, and they have a book about Mao Zedong, and they're very, very objective about this guy. He's a national hero to the Chinese people. He made some mistakes here and there. Okay, very, very balanced. I was so angry when I read that book. But there's nobody writing the book against it, so we can't rely and complain on others to do something. We can do something. I think we can come up with books to expose the evil of communism and the danger that they posted to America.
Well, since we all know how evil the communism, socialism is, but we have people attacking you and me to say what we lived through is not real communism. Think about that's how our young kids are indoctrinated. They would rather believe in theory, empty theory, utopian society that will never come, instead of believing us who already lived it and suffered and survived it.
Here's the thing. We don't have direct access to them. They are captured by the woke teachers. They're captured by the woke institutions. So we need to have at least have the books there is one way to get to them. That's what.
But how do you think that school will be welcoming different voices and stories like ours into their libraries? Would they actually censor us to, like one of our radio? I don't know, Amani, you saw my tweet that one of our video talk about you woke training by a federal agency.
I saw that.
You cannot find it on Microsoft Bing search. Said this video is not available. It was a big black box to say Lily Tang Williams YouTube. This video is not available. It's like, what? It's available on our YouTube, but the Bing absolutely censored it.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to fight against it. Yeah, we little by little, because as I said in the very beginning, you have to realize the reality. The reality is that all our institutions have been captured by Marxism, from school board to White House and everything in between, because it took them almost more than a century to do that. And while the conservatives were asleep. And now we have to fight.
We have to give up the educational.
It's difficult. It's absolutely will be a difficult battle, but we have to start, and we'll start today. Yesterday.
We'll start with the three of us here.
And I also think what the parents, whoever is watching this video, if you're a parent, go volunteer in your school, keep an eye on your children, go into your school library to volunteer there, to organize the books and flip through the books, not just looking at the covers, because the
cover,
covers
no,
they can be very deceiving, and to keep
Yeah.
an eye on it, like Miss Shi said, if you see some books that concern you, fill out a request to have them removed, and to keep an eye on things, because this is our children's future at stake,
Yes.
and us as parents, we have a responsibility to protect them from harmful indoctrination, such as genderqueer, longboy, all of these the books that actually advocates pedophilia. That is very dangerous for a young child to read.
And also
Yeah,
expose them
that's a
through
suggestion.
social media.
Yeah. And have you actually found out that your local public libraries actually hold shows like drag queen shows, and the parent student show up and watch them? I mean, that's like
Yeah.
on
This
public
is
platform
another,
too.
yes, correct. This is another thing that the American Library Association has been promoting. So school library is basically part of the school, right? And the patrons are just students directly. But public library is a public space. It's public square. But and when my son was little, I took him to story hours, and I took him to some kind of entertaining shows for children. And so now they weaponize that. They have been promoting drag queen show using public library space. And in New York City, the New York City Public Library had a budget of $270,000 taxpayer dollars to pay for the drag show for to the children. And I checked them, it's not happening yet in Loudoun County, but it's happening all around the country. And I have one thing to say.
Well, that it's very concerning. What do you think the agenda, the purpose of them doing this? You would think, even the moderate Democrat parents will not support this. It's just not age appropriate. Kids not learning to just even speak well, reading English, and doing some math in elementary school. But now they're pushing all this stuff that the parents don't approve of. What do you think of their hidden purpose agenda doing this?
Indoctrination. That's it. It's very simple. They
So turn kids into like an activist, activist.
One of the things they're doing with this drag queen is to teach children, and anything is possible. There's no right and wrong. There's no normal and abnormal. Everything is acceptable. When you have children like this, they have no ability to tell the right from wrong, and they are ripe for what? For harvest as activists and revolutionaries for their cause. That's what they're doing. And so in our neighboring county, Fairfax County is the biggest county in Virginia. They use taxpayer dollar and use the library of space to host Abraham Candies. And I watched it. I went in and watched it. And he absolutely got paid, and with their money, with the tax dollars. And I went to Montgomery's county GOP meeting and gave a speech a few weeks ago. And they were saying it's the same thing going on in their library. And Montgomery County is one of the richest county in Maryland, actually in the country. They're doing the same thing. And there's reports of Christian authors and a request a story hour from libraries, and was rejected. Not interested. We want to promote diversity, inclusion, and equity. So no, not Christian. No, we just want all this. Whoever you identify you as oppressed. That's what they're doing.
So diversity is only their diversity. They
Yes,
choose
exactly.
winners and losers in diversity. Like Amani said before, when she was disagreeing with her training, voice herself. Then she's a Chinese immigrant, Asian American. Her diversity, they accuse her to be white presenting. Shut up, don't talk about this.
That's very important for people to know. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is not, well, it looks like it's about identity, it's about color, skin color, whatever. It's not. It's about ideology. You can be black and conservative, and you are considered blackface of white supremacy. So get it over. It's not about even the looks. It's about ideology.
Yeah, that was the moment when I realized it was never about racial equality. It was never about culturalism, whatever they call it. It's about silencing all dissenting voices and install authoritarianism. Because that's exactly what happened to me. They silenced me and labeled me white presenting, and I was told to recognize my white privilege, if you can believe
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
So it's pretty clear what they're trying to do. They're trying to create little red guards. They're trying to cultivate this hate, self-hate, and hate for each other in little children. Self-hate, and hate for each other, in little children. So when little children grow up, they have no moral values. There is nowhere they wouldn't go to install their ideals of what a society would be. Like they would, like just like what red guards have done, they would commit atrocities that are unimaginable to destroy society to such a degree.
Because they will fight for the cause, whatever the cause that they were told.
So what can regular taxpayers do when it comes to public libraries? I mean, or even in school, can they go there to say, hey, I want to give you feedback. Why I don't like this in our schools or in our public libraries. I don't want to pay for it, and I want to request this list of books. But there's nothing they can do by asking remove not age-appropriate school library books, or they can go to school board meetings to voice their opinion. We have after they know the truth.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents are doing that. What you do, you go to school board. And you start the process, and there's some success stories, but public library, I haven't heard much of the pushback. So I think a lot of people are not paying attention, and so I think that's why I think it's important for us to raise the awareness that there is something you can do. And just like I described, you can first of all, you can survey the collection, like what I did. And then what I did is just very superficial. There are more, and see what's out there in the collection, and then ask the process of raising objection or bring in books that you think are helpful for the kids. All this have to start from parents, residents, citizens, grassroots. There's no way we can say so-and-so on the top can help us with this. No, everything's local. Everything.
We are increasing the awareness, at least in New Hampshire schools, and but we need a lot more work. We need we need a lot more people to get involved. And people are busy making money, and pay for the bills and struggling, deal with inflation. And the kids have scheduled play sports, going to band. And sometimes it's like when we have a school board meeting in our local town, very few people showed up. And the school board loves it. Oh, no parents showed up. We can't just
of course.
Yeah. And our local election is coming up March 14th. Guess the best to show up, like last election, is like 30%. 30% of taxpayers show up to vote in the local town election for school board, for the selectmen board, which is like city council. It's very, very frustrating. Do people, they don't feel the urgency we do, because three of us come from China. We know what indoctrination means. We know how many years will take a child to get rid of that garbage in education to become independent thinker. And we also know that how communists control the language and terms and use children to do their revolution. But the other people even tell me, Lily, we're not going to become like China. We're not China. It's like, do they
that's
don't
why,
have education with me.
That's why we need to do the education. And that's what we're doing. And that's what I plan to not plan. That's my mission, actually, to educate Americans and to tell them that it is communism, and it's not a theory. It's not something I read. It's something that I lived through. I'm telling you, what happened to me in China is happening here. So we have that special advantage, and we should use it. And I encourage all Chinese, not just Chinese, all people, Americans who have lived under communism, and stand up and speak out.
I've been trying, but I appreciate you, Amani, for being so courageous and joining me to speak out and tell our stories, warn people. But I have a hard time to really get other immigrants to do what we do here, talk about it and discuss it and show our concerns and draw the similarities. Do you think they still in this today's cancel culture, maybe they're still worried about they will be affected? They're taking personal risk for doing this.
I think a lot of people do, because when your job is at stake, like when you need that job to support your family and to feed your kids, that's like Karl Marx says, economy is the foundation of everything else. It's like when you're financially struggling, when you're you really depend on having that job. Yeah, it's everything else is at stake, and that is why the leftists, they're using the cancel culture so effectively. It's like, if you go against us, we just cancel you, we fire you, we cancel your book, and we basically cut off your livelihood, and that holds a lot of people at stake, because that basically is how you control people's lives. And so I think it is a very dangerous thing that they're doing, but the way we can fight back is to just keep talking while we can. And like Lily says, the videos that we expose the truth, the facts of what for example, what the federally funded organization is pushing on teachers and tutors in schools was actually censored by Bing.com, which is like, it just shows they are very afraid of the truth. They know they're doing a bad thing. They are very aware of it. That's why they censor it. It's the same thing as the CCP censors the internet, because they're afraid of the people talking. They hate it when people talk and tell the truth. So it's the same thing. I think if any of our audiences are watching this video, if you feel there is a need for us to preserve our freedom and preserve the truth and tell the facts and the reality, please just share and manually share our videos, because it will be censored by the big tech companies. And just tell your friends about it. Send a link send a link in a text message to your friends. Even if you reach one person a day, it would be a big help for us to tell the truth, tell the facts, and and fight the lie.
Well, after I watched some Twitter files, I'm convinced it's not a tech censorship, just tech censorship. It's government tech censorship. They work together. Government and pressure the private companies to do censorship. And also lots of those people involve those companies ideologically leaning left. And so they don't mind to not to bind by constitution and support free speech. And so they're glad to do it. And the mainstream media now has become almost like what we know about state media. They don't talk about the things that the people care about. And then they, they're in the pockets of their advertisers, the money. And so I think people, it's like when we talk to young people, it's like, where do you get your news? It's like, oh, I watch social media. I watch CNN, MSNBC. It doesn't matter. We want people watch all you can. But the most important, you got to think independently after you do all the research. You still got the internet. There's lots of source of information out there. I mean, I don't even use cable TV anymore. I get my information, just from internet, but it's very worrisome when people say, I believe most Americans are still good people, but why the small minority of lefty activists, some are paid by our tax dollars, librarians, some teachers, activists, and even testify to oppose our parental rights bills, and they're paid by us to be activists, and our people are working to make ends meet, don't show up. And once we lose America, it doesn't matter, how much money you have, what business you own, we'll all be surrounded by us. That's something, people have to understand. That revolution eats their own, like a red guards all through under the bus, going to countryside, re-education camps. Oh, it's so sad. I'm sure you'll feel like sometimes I just feel it's very sad to watch what's happening today.
Yeah, it's, as I said many times, it's because all the institutions has been fallen.
So you think it's been working that way in the past 30, 40 years?
No, it's more than a century.
Yeah,
it's more than a century, little by little. And so all this, and there's a lot of things involved, but to me, America is fighting a culture war. In order for America to survive, we have to win this culture war. That is really the essence of the war, is the culture. So the Republicans, they talk about jobs and talk about business opportunity. If we don't just win this culture war, we will indeed become a communist state. Yeah, it's all about ideology.
Do you have something to add, Amani?
No, I think Ms. Shi has said it better than I could ever have. And yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and really appreciate you both constantly, speaking up and warn people. And at least, hey, 3 Chinese immigrants can have a show, and we're going to look into our own children's books That's a great idea, just spark at the moment, coming up like this. But no matter what, we're not going to be silenced. And we love this country. We're going to do whatever we can and to save our children. So if you like this, please share and please tell other people, and go to locals.com, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and we'll be back next Sunday. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye-bye.
both. Bye.